Deepti Galorong joins me on the set now to take a look at the papers today. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
Lots of reactions still in the press to the resignation of Sir Kim Darroch as British ambassador to the U.S.
That's right. The Korea statesman issued his resignation yesterday after personal comments he made about Donald Trump were leaked in a report by the Mail on Sunday. It comes as Prime Ministerial candidate Boris Johnson is being blamed, really, for that resignation because Johnson refused to back Sir Kim Darroch in a TV debate on Tuesday. For the Evening Standard's Christian Adams, that cartoon you see there, Donald Trump and Boris Johnson are united under the same peroxided capillary banner bounded by that button there. Darroch is a loser. The Washington Post, though, does leap to Darroch's defense, blaming Donald Trump for blowing this out of proportion. I quote, "Any other White House would have overlooked the undiplomatic language rather than damage relations with a key U.S. ally. What self-respecting British public servant will want to serve in Washington now, knowing that they could get dismissed by a Trump tweet?" Also in the Daily Telegraph, Jeannie, one writer noting that while it wasn't Darroch's fault, Johnson was right not to stand by him because, quote, "a prime minister cannot put the interests of a senior diplomat over that of an international relationship."
All right, let's talk now about this very disturbing article in the New York Times that you found for us. It's about Venezuelan women being sex trafficked.
It's just it's horrible, Jeannie. 4 million people have fled Venezuela in the last 4 years. One teenager, for various reasons, food, work, better life elsewhere, one teenager found herself in a situation where she was lured by the promise of work and food in nearby Trinidad. Instead, she says she was forced into a leaky boat with other women to be sent to a Trinidad brothel. What happened was that boat capsized a few months ago and several people died. She was one of the few survivors. Since then, the Venezuelan National Guard is found to have played a hand in the deaths of those women. 2 soldiers were actually charged for their part in the criminal organization organizing this sex trafficking. I urge our viewers to read this article. It is difficult, but it's important to understand the situation there. These stories of women and families who've gone from, quote, vacationing in the Caribbean to fleeing there now.
Next, the French paper Le Parisien is reporting on some new revelations about the fate of Malaysia Airlines MH370.
It's on the front page of Le Parisien today because the doomed Malaysia Airways Boeing flight MH370 disappeared over 5 years ago, we know, with 239 people on board. It does remain one of aviation's greatest mysteries. The flight heading from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing disappeared, and apart from a bit of debris, the actual wreckage hasn't been found. Now, French authorities are really the last authorities standing who are investigating what happened. They were actually able to visit Boeing's headquarters in Seattle, and from data they've concluded that the flight was piloted right up until the moment it crashed. For Le Parisien, the theory of suicide is the most plausible, even if it hasn't really been proven concretely yet.
Staying in France now, the race for the mayor of Paris is heating up as President Emmanuel Macron has named his party candidate.
And that candidate is Benjamin Griveaux, a close Macron ally and government spokesman who actually resigned from that post in March to run for the Paris mayorship. His loyalty to the president has been repaid. That's what Le Figaro says. Griveaux there is next to Cédric Villani, who was his internal rival, rather. The French business paper Les Echos warns that Griveaux will have to do away with a rather divisive image that he has and transform himself into a real candidate to rival socialist Mayor Anne Hidalgo's well-oiled machine. His main challenge will be disengaging himself from Macron's style, the sort of straight-shooting upstart type of candidate, and also prove to Parisians that he does really care about local issues and this is not just an extension of the government.
Just to wrap up now, Deepti, a case of a suspected drug criminal who accidentally implicated himself in a police chase.
This took place in the U.S. state of Missouri, Jeannie. Police were hunting down a man suspected of drug possession on the weekend. He went into hiding. Unfortunately, he happened to fart very loudly, so loudly that police were actually able to sniff out his hiding place, as the Huffington Post notes. The sheriff's office has been using this rather hilarious incident as a cautionary tale on Twitter. The cops posted this: "If the cops are looking for you and you pass gas so loudly it gives up your hiding spot, you're definitely having a poopy day.
That is true, Dipti. Thank you for that. Dipti Laurent with that look at the papers today. You can always watch it a second time if you like on our website. That address, France24.com.